What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. We're going bowling at the Glen this weekend, road course racing once again, which I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but for DFS purposes, I usually love it as they are a bit more projectable than other tracks. And with this being the playoffs and we do have stage breaks back this season, it should be more enjoyable than last year's Watkins Glen. But anyway, if this happens to be your first time here, which I highly doubt considering football season is now here, my name is Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Also do NFL videos each and every single week if you want to check those out. And really quick, I got to shout out last week's comment contest winner, Michael, who was the only one to pick Cindric with the most laps led. And when you're the only person to pick someone, it makes things a bit easier for me. So if you want to enter this weekend, all you got to do is comment down below who you think is going to lead the most laps and how many, and the winner will get a cash prize. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Watkins Glen. It's always the same kind of thing for road courses where you really don't care about the dominator points too much. Yes, if you get the main dominator, that's always going to help, but it kind of just overlaps with just trying to get guys that have high finishing position potential, and depending on qualifying, if they have some place differential upside, that's also fine as well. And really the only comparable tracks to road courses are just the other road courses, so there's nothing fancy there. And then we do have a new tire this time around. We're going to have some fall off. We did see that in practice a couple of seconds, so that should make it somewhat interesting. But other than that, it's kind of short and sweet for strategy. Really just getting guys that are good at road courses that can finish high. And then if we have enough place differential, mixing those guys in as well, just try to find a nice balance. Because when there's only 90 laps, you just can't try to jam in dominators in your lineup because there's just not enough downward points to go around. And a lot of the guys that can finish high, it just coincides with being a potential lap leader as well. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown, I have to mention one thing first, and that is, of course, if you want to join the best NASCAR and I guess now NFL DFS community out there, link is down below in the description or the pinned comment for that. I have projections for both sites. I cover showdowns, main slates. I have optimizer, ownership projections, cheat sheets. We have the simulations for the bets and NASCAR, and there's a lot more. So come in, check it out. Fairly priced for everything, and I think you will enjoy. And as you all know, I'm a partner of Stochastic, and they did launch their NASCAR Sims tool this season, but they're also covering all the sports. Obviously, NFL season is in full swing. Had a lot of people sign up using the code, and they seem to enjoy it. So when I come in, check it out. Use the link down below in the description of the pinned comment. Help give yourself an edge on Sundays, whether it's on the track or on the field. All right, so I want to take a quick look at practice with you guys. So on the left here on the main page, which is what you're probably looking at, that is the consecutive lap data. So we have the 1 lap, 5, 10, and 15. And then over here on the right, which my big head is blocking it right now, we have the overall lap data. And I do want to mention that I don't think Kyle Busch ran that many laps, and with the tire fall off, that probably boosted his numbers a little bit, but I don't expect him to be slow. He is pretty good at these road courses. But just looking at this on paper, it looks like Tyler Reddick, you would think, would have the best car. Obviously did not back that up in qualifying, which I think qualifying is a good test for speed as well, because this when you're trying to go as fast as you can and you get a couple laps in, and unfortunately he just did not back it up as much, but I don't really have too many concerns. Larson looks fast. I mean, all these guys top 4 in the overall, how I'm averaging it out. Obviously very strong road course racers, Reddick and Larson, then McDowell and SVG, very good as well. Ross Chastain's been good at road courses, so is Buscher, Kyle Busch. Keselowski, maybe not so much. Ryan Blaney, not exactly the best road course racer, but these guys aren't bad by any means. But I just wanted to take a quick gander at that. So we will move on and talk some driver by driver here, and we'll start with the 5-figure range here first. We have Kyle Larson in 20th, William Byron at 11th, and Chase Elliott in 14th. And I'll be honest, a lot of these guys are going to project out pretty similar to me. Larson, I thought he was going to qualify much better. That did not happen. Obviously, he is going to be one of the absolute best plays on the slate here. He's one of the fastest cars in practice. I believe he won the most recent road course. If the most recent road course was Sonoma, I feel like it's been a while, but obviously he won that race. He was very good. And I would say Watkins Glen and Sonoma definitely have some similarities to it. And starting in 20th, I mean, there's just so much upside there. He could legitimately win this race. It's kind of hard to do that starting that far back, but you definitely cannot rule it out. So I would say he's probably the top cash game play in this range. William Byron and Chase Elliott are going to be fine pivots off of him. You can certainly play them together, but if I have to pick one, it will be Kyle Larson. If we're looking at our 5-race sample size here, the Watkins Glen next gen statistics plus the 2024 road course numbers, Kyle Larson has 2 wins and a 5-race sample size, I believe we're looking at. Yeah, 5-race sample size here, and William Byron also has 2 wins. So it's very hard to bet against them. And Chase Elliott also extremely good at road courses. He's better in Gen 6, still really strong in Gen 7. People like to call him overrated now because he hasn't gotten the wins, but he still has been extremely good. 13-race sample size since next gen at all the road courses. Only person that has more top 5s is Tyler Reddick. 3 wins, 7 top 5s. Elliott's chilling right there at 6, but he's been one of the best dominators at it, one of the best fast laps guy. I mean, all of them just truly lead at road courses. I had to rank them, for me, it's Larson, Elliott, Byron, but all very close. Dropping down to the 9K range, SVG, it's hard to bet against him at road courses, but when you can give me guys like Reddick, Bell, Gibbs, Elliott, Byron, Larson, all starting much further back, all extremely elite at road courses, kind of going to be hard to get to SVG if you're looking to get off the ownership of those guys, because if I had to guess, I think it's going to be Reddick and Larson, the chalk in the 9K range. Obviously, other guys like the Gibbs, Bell, and all them, they will have ownership, but I think it'll probably be concentrated around Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson. They're some of the best cars in practice, and obviously just some big names at these types of tracks. So SVG will be like the tournament pivot, but I'll be honest, it's going to be hard for me to get there because starting in third, he's basically going to have to win the race and lead some laps, which is obviously possible. But there's some other good drivers up there, like Ross Chastain and Martin Truex Jr. on the front row as well. So he should be solid, but to outscore the guys with place differential will be certainly difficult. Reddick, one of my favorite plays in the entire slate. I don't understand why he's only $9,500 on DraftKings. He's the most expensive driver on FanDuel, so a bit harder to get over there. But over on DK, really, really good play. Starting in 16th, was the best car in practice. And like I showed you guys, the next gen, Reddick has been the absolute man. Just pretty much the best numbers in almost every single category. Christopher Bell right there with him. Like him a lot. He's a good road course racer. Same with Ty Gibbs. All very similar plays, but if I had to rank them, it would be probably Reddick, Gibbs, and Christopher Bell, but not much to distinguish between Bell and Ty Gibbs, to be honest. Then AJ Allmendinger is kind of in the SVG range where all of these guys, 9K and up, they're all starting 10th or back besides the two colleague drivers. So they'll be the tournament pivots if you're trying to get off ownership, but other than that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get there despite their success at these track types. Dropping down to the 8K range, Kyle Busch doesn't seem like a bad tournament play, starting in 13th, with everyone probably going to these drivers in the 9K range to start in the teens. Well, Kyle Busch is also very good at road courses. And I don't think the ownership's really going to reflect that for Kyle Busch this week because there's just so many other good plays that are right above him. So he's a decent way to get different in tournaments. Obviously, he was having a really good run at Sonoma till the very end where he got into Ross Chastain and had an issue. Still finished well, but could have been a lot better. I think he was in the top 5 before issues, but in a 14 race sample size here, been in the top 5 times, 7 top 10s, 10 top 15s. He should run solid here. I know he's not in the playoffs, but obviously he's still hungry for that win. Martin Truex Jr., back in the day, ran extremely well here at Watkins Glen. He's still a good road course racer, but man, starting in second, it puts him in that SVG dinger range where he's basically got to win the race because there's a lot of downside and not a ton of upside here because there's just not that many laps to lead. I know he was running extremely well at Sonoma before the Kyle Larson win, ran out of gas at the very end, but it's really tough and starting in second. Michael McDowell, I'd rather play McDowell over Truex. He starts 8 spots further back, one of the most consistent road course racers in next gen. I don't have an issue with him. And same with Chris Buescher. I feel like they're always priced right next to each other every single time at a road course, and they're both just top 10 machines. Chris Buescher himself, extremely consistent. If we're looking at his 14 race sample size here, 8.8 average finish, which I believe is the best of all drivers, the most DraftKings points per race, and he has 11 top 10s. There's only been 3 instances where he's not into the top 10 at a road course in next gen. 12 top 15s and in the top 20 every single time besides one. So Buescher is definitely one of the more solid cash plays here, $8,300. Denny Hamlin, he's been good at Watkins Glen before, starting in 22nd. It's kind of hard to trust him at road courses ever since we got the next gen. As you can see in this specific sample size of 5 races, average finish of 20th, running position of 20.6. He really screwed himself over last week, just riding around the back just to get into a wreck at the very end. I wish he did not do that. It wasn't very smart. And obviously road courses haven't been his strong suit. Usually he's really good in qualifying. He didn't do that this time around, so I do have my concerns about him. Practice wasn't bad, though. He definitely has some better practice laps. And I think he can move up, but I would slightly prefer Chris Buescher, I think, right here. But they'll be pretty close. And I think ownership-wise, Denny might get the slight edge just because of name value, and he's much cheaper than he usually is, but it will be close. But I do think I prefer Buescher. I feel like I can trust him more at a road course. The Juan Pablo Montoya is back. He's at 23.11 this weekend, so the car shouldn't be too bad. It wasn't awful in practice. Wasn't great in qualifying, though. He was in 34th, but he should be able to move up. I don't think he's going to be the worst car on the track, so I'll have some interest there. He's also really cheap over on FanDuel. Getting to the 7K range, looks like a lot of just tournament plays here besides Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski. I can see people playing them in cash games just because there's really not much way to go besides up. Problem is, though, I see Gillen's down here in 37th. I see Haley down there in 36th. So it's not like they're the only place differential plays. There's certainly other ones to get to. I feel like we can kind of group these guys all together. I mean, Suarez, tournament play in 8th, Cindric 5th, Bowman 4th, Ross in 1st. Like, all these guys just really have to have extreme ceiling performances. So I'm probably going to be out on most of them. Like in 20 max, I'll sprinkle in guys. Like Bowman's a really solid road course racer. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he won this race. Obviously, he won Chicago. Chastain's also a very solid road course racer. Not in the playoffs, but doesn't mean he's not going to try to win. He did win the Phoenix race last year when he wasn't in the championship. I'm just going to have a real hard time getting to these guys. I mean, the floor is just so much lower. There's a lot that can happen in a road course race, especially when we have stage breaks now. When we didn't have stage breaks, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys just ran top 5 all day, but it definitely adds in a wrench. A lot of risk there. Blaney in 30th, he's safe. Practice well. He's a safe play. He'll be all right. Same with Brad Keselowski. I feel like every time we play Brad at a road course, though, he spins 5 times, but by the end of the day, he just finds himself in 15th for whatever reason. Logano is in the same category as the ones right above him, and same with Chase Briscoe, really. Going down to the 6K range, Todd Gilliland, he will pretty much be a cash lock, I would say, starting in 37th, unless we don't need him. You could go down to Justin Haley, but I would say one of Haley or Gilliland will be pretty much a lock in cash games just because they're going to move up and they are pretty cheap. So other than that, I'm not playing Gregson in 9th. Bob Wallace is one of the absolute toughest guys to trust at road courses. I think he'll have the speed to move up. Definitely has top 20 upside, but my concern is he just wrecks like he usually does at road courses. Eric Jones isn't going to offer much value here starting in 25th. He's just kind of maxed out where you'd think he'd finish. Carson Hocevar probably won't go there in 29th. Dylan Pass in 23rd. Just kind of ugly place here. So Haley, Bob Wallace, and Gillen would really be the only interest in the 6K range. Then dropping down to the 5K guys, I'm hoping we don't have to go there. I mean, pricing isn't really too crazy up top. Josh Berry, I remember his full send, I believe at Coda earlier in the year. I'll never forget that. Zane and Corey are just starting way too far out. There's no way I'm going to be able to trust John Hunter Nemechek. Priest, Burton, I don't really see a need for this. There happen to be mass chaos, sure, but that's not something I'm really banking on. So as far as cheap plays are concerned, I'm really only interested in like the Haley, Wallace, and Gilliland range. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. I know it's a shorter video, but these road courses, there's just not as much to talk about. A lot of it's just due to starting position and obviously their history at road courses. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know where to leave them down below. Check out the extra content on Patreon if you want NFL and NASCAR. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all next time.